Here we're going to look at different tomato varieties. You can see just in these three containers here some of the large differences just in color that we can get, but also shape when we're looking at tomatoes. Now, when we're trying to read about them, it seems like they're always the best. Every tomato is like the one that's going to completely solve world hunger. There's many different varieties to consider, but remember that the descriptions you're reading will typically only contain the positives about that tomato. Everything wants to seem like it's the maximum amount of stars or ratings. You kind of got to read through and figure out what they're saying is going to be the most positive aspects about that. Maybe there's other things that might be more negative with that. So first off, tomatoes based on size. So they're typically organized by the size of the tomato they will produce. This can dictate by the market, what does your consumer want? Do you want to be growing small cherries? Do you want to be growing larger ones, mid-size? What does the customer want? Because that's going to drive what you're going to need to choose and select to grow. Now what I look for in tomato seeds is disease resistance. So there's a lot of different catalogs that have a lot of different abbreviations. These are some of the major ones here. The whole point of having increased disease resistance is to reduce the amount of spraying or kind of allow the tomatoes to kind of fend for themselves. Especially if you have an area where you have a lot of pressure from something. It could be, for example, late blight is kind of a major concern. Early blight can be another one, something to consider. Typically, you'll pay more for seeds that have disease resistance, but in my opinion, that's a small cost to pay for the in-season benefits. Then there's also this grafted tomatoes kind of come up here. Well, remember there's a rootstock, there's a bottom portion here that offers disease resistance, and there's a scion, which is a top portion that usually produces a great tasting tomato, and there's a graft union. And this is the little area here, typically this will kind of swell up. This needs to be placed in air or above the soil line by at least a few inches to prevent rooting from coming from the scion or the top portion to kind of negate the effects of that rootstock to scion portion. So again, remember when you're planting grafted tomatoes, they can be a great way to kind of get disease resistance also, but keep that graft union well above the soil line. Now you'll notice that in this tomato variety lecture that I did not mention any specific varieties. Reason why I didn't is they're constantly changing and you have to find what works best for your particular area. I think a key part here is looking at disease resistance and also considering grafted tomato as an option, but make sure you keep that graft union above the soil line.